Hi guys, welcome back. So today I have a special treat for you. Since Valentine's Day is just a couple days away, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make one of our favorite things to eat around Valentine's Day. Well, really any time. But also it is a Halifax Classic. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make a homemade Donair. And this is so delicious. I love eating them. I rarely make them. I usually make a Donair Dip, but today I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm also going to try a slightly different recipe with it. I'm adjusting it a little bit to see how it turns out. So let's get to it. I'm going to show you guys how to make a Donair. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is weigh out all of the meat. So I am weighing out 1 pound of ground beef. I'm also going to weigh out a half a pound of ground pork and a half a pound of ground lamb. You can adjust these as you want. If you want a little bit more ground beef or you don't like using lamb, adjust it how you want. The Donair Dip is made with only ground beef. So it's up to you which meat you want to use. All right, weigh it and put it in your mixer bowl. All right, let's add some spices. So 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 2 teaspoons of oregano, 3 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 3 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of salt. Optional are a half a teaspoon of coriander and a half a teaspoon of thyme. Now I'm going to put it on my mixer with the paddle and I'm going to let it mix and keep mixing until it is really well combined. All right, so I have let this mix for probably 3 or 4 minutes. It doesn't take very long. So now I'm just going to take it off my mixer and I'm going to mix it with my hands just a little bit to check the texture of it, and I want it to be like Play-Doh, let's say. Not loose and crumbly, like as if you were going to make a hamburger out of it. You want this really packed, and like, I don't know how to describe this. Anyway, it should be mixed really well. So once you have it all mixed, you're going to take a loaf pan. You're going to put some parchment paper in it, just a little bit so that it comes up over the edges. And this is just to help take the Donair meat out of the pan once it's cooked. Just makes it easier. So you're really going to cram the meat into this loaf pan. And I mean squish it down, pat it down, cram it in there. You don't want any air pockets or air holes. Tap the pan on the table, on your countertop a few times. Anyway, just do what you can to really smush it all in there. Next, you're going to take your loaf pan, you're going to put it in a bigger pan, and then you're going to add water to it. So you're cooking it in a water bath is what you're doing. Just put enough water in your bigger pan until it reaches about halfway up your loaf pan. Then you're going to cook this in a 375 degree Fahrenheit oven, and you're going to cook it for about 1 hour and 20 minutes, or until the internal temperature reaches between 150 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you're going to remove it from the oven, take it out of the water bath, let it cool a little bit, and then you're going to take the Donair meat out of the pan and put it on a cooling rack for a little bit, just to let it cool down until you can actually slice it. All right, while the Donair meat is cooking, I'm going to make the Donair sauce. So typically when I make this, I don't have measurements for this. It is completely done by taste. I just add a little at a time, a little sprinkle here, a little bit more there, until I get the taste that I want. So bear with me through this one. You're going to add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk to a bowl. Then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I added 1.5 teaspoons. My husband thought it was way too garlicky. I thought it was great. So my recommendation then is add 1 teaspoon of garlic, taste it, see what you think. So you're also going to add 3.5 teaspoons of vinegar. You may want to add a little bit less. You may want to add a little bit more, depending on how tangy you want your sauce to be. So ideally, this sauce is a sweet garlic sauce. If you've had it, you know. If not, that's the best way I can describe it. It should still be kind of sweet, but have that garlic aftertaste with the tanginess of the vinegar. So you're going to mix this all by hand, just with a whisk, and mix it up just until it's all mixed in. You don't have any clumps of the garlic powder or anything. And just keep tasting it until you get it to a flavor that you are happy with. Then you're going to put a lid on it and throw it into the fridge until your Donair meat is ready. Alright, so not all pizza shops will add mozzarella onto the Donairs. Personally, we love the mozzarella on our Donairs, so I'm going to cut this package open. It's the really good stuff. It's the really melty cheese that they put on pizzas, and I'm going to grate some of it to put onto the Donairs. I'm also going to dice up a tomato and an onion. So this is normal when you order a Donair at one of the pizza shops. They'll ask you if you want veg on it or not. And the veggies include onions and tomatoes. That is your option. Now, we have noticed that lately some places have been throwing lettuce on, which is super weird, and it just ends up soggy, and it's a terrible idea. So I don't like onions and tomatoes on my Donair. I just like the cheese and the sauce, but my husband loves the onions and tomatoes, so I'm going to dice them up for him. Once the Donair meat has cooled enough for you to handle, you're going to slice it into as thin slices as you possibly can. For us, the next part is optional, okay? You don't have to do this, but we really like our Donair meat kind of crispy. So after I slice it all up, I'm going to throw it into a pan. Actually, my husband's going to do this part while I record it. He's going to put it into a really hot frying pan and just give it a little bit of a crisp. And while that's in the frying pan, I have a cooling rack over some boiling water on the stove just to steam the pitas before we put everything together. All right, so this is how we put it all together. So you have your pita with your Donair meat on it. My husband's going to put cheese on his, pop it into the microwave for a couple seconds, just to melt the cheese. So the cheese is all melty, so now he's going to load it up with some onions and tomatoes. Okay, not completely loaded up, just a few of them on there. Then he's going to put his Donair sauce all over the Donair, and he's going to go and enjoy his supper. All right, so I waited to make the end of this video because as soon as the Donairs were ready, we sat down and ate them right away. Didn't take pictures, didn't make the end of the video, nothing. So we were just too excited. We wanted to sit and eat and enjoy it while it was hot. Let me tell you, I am disappointed in myself because I changed up the recipe just a little bit, and I tried something new. I added a little bit of coriander and a little bit of thyme to it. And I mean, like, very small amount compared to other recipes out there. And I should never have done it. I should never have messed with my recipe at all, because for us, coriander tastes like soap. And the thyme, I didn't care for it, but it was the coriander. My recommendation, if you don't like coriander, if it tastes like soap to you, do not add it. It's terrible. It ruined our Donairs. If I did not add that, they would have been perfect. So that's a little disappointing. But on the other side of that, on the brighter side, I mean, it looks amazing. It turned out amazing, minus the coriander part. The sauce was great. I think it was perfect. My husband thought I put a little bit too much garlic in it. So my suggestion to you when you're making it is taste it as you're making it. It should be sweet, but it should be garlicky and just a hint of like a tang to it from the vinegar. So I liked it the way it was. Maybe add a half a teaspoon less if you don't like it that strong. The rest of it was awesome. It turned out really well. I love the mixture of the lamb, the pork, the ground beef. I did not pack it down hard enough into the pan, so there was some air pockets in it. No big deal. It'll get sliced up anyway. So this is fantastic. I would love to share my story, my Valentine's Day story about Donairs with you, but you'll have to go check out my podcast that comes out, I think in a week or two's time. I still haven't got my schedule nailed down for my podcast yet, but on my next podcast, I'm going to share a wonderful little story about a Valentine's Day that's very special to me that involves Donairs. So that's it for me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit the like, subscribe, notification bell if you haven't. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you'll come back and watch a couple more. So, happy Valentine's Day, and I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next week for my next recipe.